To get on our call. This is super, 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 super fun. So for those who don't know Shay, I will introduce all of you to her. And actually, I have secretly been following her for quite a while now. And I reached out to her. And yeah, I asked her, if she could jump on a team call with us. And she was awesome to say yes. So this is a huge, huge honor to have you on this call. So thank you very much. So Shay is a mom of 3. She's also a wife. She is a 15-star diamond coach, which is absolutely amazing. She's in the $1 Million Club too. She's a four-time elite, 3-time National Wake Up Call presenter, and she's also spoken 3 times at Summit. So this is awesome. So take your notes, grab your pen and paper, because she's gonna blow your minds.
I tell you, you are the epitome of I always tell my team, you don't get what you don't ask for, and you are the epitome of that, because get asked quite a bit to do calls, and the way you presented it and spoke with me and shared a little bit about you, you are like textbook exactly how you want to form somebody. And I said yes. So I'm excited to be here and excited to be speaking with your team. And it's really true, guys. You do not get what you don't ask for. So it's always important to ask, and I hope I can share some ways to bridge the communication gap and build the relationship gap so that you guys, aren't asking for anything in a salesy way, but in a very personable way. So do you want me to start with some of these questions and then kind of just see where they lead from there? Okay. So I have your questions, and some of these are definitely not my strong point, but I'll answer as honestly as I have. So, okay. So the first question is, well, actually, do you guys? Let me back up for a second. Do you guys know my story and kind of how I got into Beachbody or how long I've been here? All right, I'll do like a really Cliff Note version of it. So I'm 44. I have 3 kids, and I have been in corporate America a lot of my life. And I just really I was frustrated with the freedom and not having quality time with my kids when my daughters, that are now 15 and 13, but when they were babies, literally after a few weeks, they were thrown into daycare, and I was back at work, and I missed a lot of the first times of them, their first walk, their first, every little first they did happened at daycare, and I got it on a little sheet from the daycare on, oh, they did this and that today. And, it bothered me, but it didn't bother me until I had my 3rd child and realizing this is my last child and I don't want to miss these firsts. And I was with a pharmaceutical company at the time. They restructured my territory. I was pregnant. They didn't know. And I just was in a position where I'm like, you know what? I'm 36 years old. I don't want to miss any more firsts. I want to be present. I want to be pregnant and enjoy it. I want to be with all of his little moments as he grows up. My sponsor is Lindsay Matway, and she was only with Beachbody at the time, a few months, and she had presented this business to me 4 times. And I said, nope. I am a corporate person. I don't do those companies, those network marketing. That's what people do like you that bartend and don't have real jobs. I was that person. And I laugh now, who got the last laugh, right? But it wasn't until about a year later, I finally joined. And it was when I had the aha moment that you could have the freedom and really design your life as you like. And if I treated this like I treated my other careers, that I actually had a possibility I could be successful. And I've always, since day one, treated this as I was hired by Beachbody and this was my job. And I do feel that has been one of my mindset keys to success. Is I've never once treated it like a hobby, because I'm I am not going back to corporate America. So that's a little bit about my story. So I will jump into this first question. So it says, my biggest challenge is focus. I try to do too much with little time. There's so many resources to help you build, ways to help you structure your business and do the vital behaviors. I feel I'm always planning in development mode and not enough execution mode. How do you decide on approach or a plan for your business? I'll be honest, in the beginning, I did not really have a plan so much. I knew I had to connect with as many people as possible. And to this day, people always say I'm like a really, really soft sell. And I felt that if I could give enough value to people, whether it was through my posts or through private conversation, that they would see that value. So I did more of the product objection. So Shakeology is obviously my thing. I got into this business because I love Shakeology. So any objections I would get about Shakeology, I would kind of publicly address on my Facebook. And people think it's a protein shake, but this is how it's different. And then I would educate them, or whatever the objection I would get, or that people think it's expensive. However, and then I would put it in perspective. So that was really how I started building my momentum. I put a lot of time into making my posts as if they were like a presentation to a doctor in my pharmaceutical. I took that very seriously. And then I wanted people to come to my Facebook and see that post. And so I just started going through my Facebook. I think I probably had 300 friends, and would go through and just start conversations, non-Beachbody conversations. And that's not new to you guys. That's all stuff that you've already heard. But that's really how I was working part-time for a doctor's office at the time. And every little Daryl Laporte calls them power pockets I had. If I had 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I would go in and just start conversations with people. And when I had longer periods of time, I would craft a post that I felt would add value and insight to someone's life. So let me see if I answered that question. So my plan was really honestly to try and connect with as many people as possible and help educate people on what they struggled with. And I felt people struggled mostly with Shakeology, but we all know they struggle with meal. I mean, every objection you guys get is someone's struggle that you can post about. And if you're talking to enough people, you're probably getting a lot of objections. There's a lot of stuff to post about. Okay, the second one, can you share your monthly plan with us? How did you develop this and why? So I will tell you now, I'm pretty much completely cold market, but I also want to share with it back when I was up to a 2-star diamond. So now I do like running free groups. I try and come up with ideas for free groups to create that funnel, because I don't have that trust factor built in with people. So running the free groups has really kind of helped get people to my Facebook, start conversations so that I can start building a relationship and they see my posts. Back in the day, we didn't really run free groups. I don't know, it was such a different beast back in 2011. My plan honestly was to hit Success Club 10 every single month. We didn't have challenge groups and we didn't have challenge packs, so it was a little different. But for me, creating meaningful posts that stood out and added value was really where it was at for me. And if you think of a lot of these posts, and this will come to the branding questions later, but so many posts are just white noise in the feed. And I wanted my posts to stand out compared to what everybody else was doing, which is why you don't really want to share other people's posts. You want to be inspired by them, but make it your own. And especially now that there's more Beachbody coaches, and MLMs, for better or worse, are more acceptable and mainstream now, which I think is great, because a lot of people have put down those perceptions that I used to have, but there's more people doing it. So I think it's really important that when we get to branding in a few minutes, that you guys really push what your brand is forward so that it stands out and you attract the kind of people you want to your business. Okay. Best advice for people working full-time and a family. What are your lessons learned in this area? So there's full-time coaching and then full-time doing something else. And I'll talk about full-time something else. Obviously you're not going to be able to do as much. One of my best tips I could give is don't get caught up in collecting information, because you can collect all kinds of information, watch webinars all day long, but it's not until you apply it. And I've got 3 new coaches right now, and that's what they're struggling with. Like, they want to learn everything, but I'm like, well, what are you doing to apply what you're learning? And so my biggest piece of advice in the beginning is, especially when you're busy and you're raising a family, don't get so much caught up in the learning, but go do, because you'll always figure it out as you go. And so when you've got really little time, if you have 20 minutes or an hour a day, make that hour count and start connecting with people. And make your content great. Content is king. And definitely utilize those little power pockets. I mean, even if you're working full time and you can take a bathroom break. I know when I did pharmaceutical sales, I had time in the car, and that's when I would put all my phone calls during that time. We all have different jobs, but as much as you can, where you're multitasking. I multitasked with my kids. If they were doing their homework, then I could do other things or watch a webinar while we're all eating or whatever. It wasn't that fun, but the multitasking helped get me along farther. Now that I'm a full-time coach, it's actually, I sometimes think it's harder, because you're like, oh, I have this time to work out and I have this time to do stuff and I'll do it later. So then you do other things. And, but it's funny because I've had some coaches that quit their full-time jobs to become Beachbody coaches full-time. And that transition's actually difficult. And because with your full-time job, you're kind of accountable for your time. Whereas when you're a Beachbody coach, it's like, oh, I don't have to do it right now. This is kind of liberating, So it does require, as a full-time coach, to really focus on the business building activities first, where you're going to actually move your business and move that needle forward. That's where you need to focus first. And I am totally guilty, 100%, of wanting to work on projects. We could work on this invite surge project, and I can work on that project, and for a little while, I got caught up in having to do projects and speaking engagements, and I saw that my business fell. And remember, the vital behaviors are there for a reason. This is network marketing because we need to network. Not do projects on how fancy things look or how great systems are in place. I will tell you today, I don't even use the training I probably spent hours and hours and hours developing 3 years ago. I use Beachbody's training. So if I have a new coach, I put them right through the back office training. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I would say, as a full-time coach now, focusing on the things that move the business needle forward. Okay. I find there's a lot of info out there on building the business, but I also want to get great at being a coach for my challengers and deliver on my promises. What do you do? Training resources to be knowledgeable, to be the best coach. So prior to being a diamond, really you're really focusing on your customers. Once you become diamond to 1-star, there's that shift. It's not about you. Now it's about creating a team. So it's a little bit different depending on where you are in the business. You definitely have to juggle more as you rank up. But if you are a diamond coach, a new coach to a diamond coach, I would definitely, you want to really develop your challengers. Not that you don't want to do that later, but you definitely want to work on more leadership once you're like a diamond to a 1-star. and having conversations with people, because part of this business and leading people, I was actually talking with my husband tonight at dinner, and I've got a coach on my team. He's been a coach 2.5 years, and he just still does not have one. He's a 1-star, and he still does not have one working coach under him. And I know why he is not attracting leaders. And it's going to be a very tough conversation because it's going to hurt his feelings. But those are some of the conversations that, as you develop in your business, learning how to develop people to be better at what they do. And that, I think that's sometimes where a lot of coaches get jammed up. And so definitely focusing on more leadership type stuff. I love John Maxwell. I'll grab the book later. 17 Irrefutable Law. Yes, there it is. 21. That's it. That's the book. And I think I can't tell, but that looks like that might even be the workbook, which I love. That is an amazing book. I actually did a whole diamond series with my new diamonds with that book, and we applied it all to Beachbody. But those are really the things, once you become diamond or 1-star, to really focus and work on. Prior to that, like I said, it's really kind of getting that stable business and that pipeline going so that you get momentum. I also do, I can't really say 10 minutes a day. Some days I do, like one day I'll do an hour, and then I may not do it again for a week. So it all averages out. But I do product development. I love learning about, back to where I was saying you want your brand to stand out. My brand is nutrition. So I love educating people on that. So I may spend an hour reading something that I can turn into a post and help educate someone. And then in the meantime, learn something about one of our Beachbody products. So that would be another segment in addition to personal development, business development, but then product development. And I don't think we really talk about that as much with Beachbody as a whole. But I'm from the school where the more you know and are a resource and can communicate that with others, the more value people are going to see in you. That's just my personal opinion. Let's see. How do you develop your brand? Okay, there's a couple questions in this one, so I'll start. So your brand, I do feel your brand precedes you. So you have always had your brand. You may not be aware of it. It's kind of like your strengths. Typically, we don't know what our strengths are because they just come natural to us, that we're like, until people start telling us, hey, you're really good at organization, or you're really good at whatever. Our brand is the same way. Danielle Natoni has a really good way of putting it. And she says, your brand is pretty much the 5 things people would describe of you at a party that know you. So what would those 5 things be? And that's pretty much your brand. How people would describe you at a party, the 5 things that they would describe you as. And that's your brand. So I kind of have a funny story, because when I joined as a coach, again, I joined under Lindsay, and she's 12 years younger than me. And I kind of felt like for me, my brand wasn't about being hot in a bikini and looking amazing. Like for me, it was more like I just went to my 20-year high school reunion, and there had been 10 people that passed away from heart attacks. And that bothered me for weeks. I'm like, how did they die at 38 years old of heart attacks? And some of my friends were having parents that were passing away. And I'm like, wow, realizing our mortality, we need to start taking care of ourselves. And then even the people at my reunion, seeing how they looked, they looked wretched, horrible, just not taking care of themselves. And they weren't 58, they were 38. So I felt it important for me to try and help people live longer and healthier and reverse some of what I saw. I didn't know it at the time. It's what I felt, but I wouldn't say, oh, that's my brand. And that's why I say I think your brand precedes you. It's the things that are important to you, that speak to you, things that get you excited to post about, and that's your brand. So back to my story, I remember when I had started, I was posting about Shakeology And somebody had said to me, they're like, nobody really cares about Shakeology and all of that. Like, what we care about is, like, people want to look good. And I'm like, but people my age, they want to look good, but that's not what drives them. And I kind of got into this, I don't want to say argument, but this little like funk, because I'm like, well, gosh, does that mean I'm not going to be a good Beachbody coach? Because I care about health, and that's like not fun, and it's not sexy. And so I tried to do someone else's brand for a little while, and my business fell. And so my message to you is stick with your brand, because when I went back and started posting about what mattered to me and what spoke to me is when my business took off again. Because I was becoming the white noise of what other people's brands were. And so if having your kids eat healthy is important to you, or if, fashion is important to you. I don't know anything about fashion. I'm horrible with fashion. Anyone haven't asked me, but I love decorating. So I'll post decorating things. Whatever delights you and brings you joy is what you need to post about. And that's why I say your brand precedes you. It's part of your personality. It's part of what speaks to you. But if you don't know what it is, it's usually the 5 things you would think somebody would describe you as. And if you don't know, ask people. But that's your brand, and that's what you want to post about. I did not get help from a professional. It was trial and error. How long before becoming a coach? So that was about 6 months. And I just realized what I was doing wasn't working. I still didn't even define it as my brand until later. So does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys have an idea of what your brand is? Do you have an idea of what's different about you? What's unique? That's what you've got to celebrate. How do I approach conversations about Shakeology? Well, I definitely use voice messages. The very first question I will ask everybody is, if they're like, so tell me this Shakeology stuff you've been posting about. I'll say, okay, great. Are you more interested in it for the health benefits or for the weight loss? And I've literally used that since day one as a coach. The health and that's more of a clarification. So are you interested more for the health benefits or for the weight loss? Because everybody's probably messaging you about the weight loss. Oh, wait, there's health benefits too. Nobody ever talks about that, right? But their answer is pretty much 99% of the time going to be both. And so that opens a door for me to then say, well, share with me a little bit about what your weight loss goals are, and then share a little bit about what kind of a health things you'd like to improve on. And so that kind of gives me permission then, by hearing their answer, on what I'm going to talk about with Shakeology. But that's literally from day one. I listened to a call I did as an Emerald coach for the Bombshell Dynasty, and that was my first tip. Are you more interested in for the weight loss or for the health benefits? And it really opens the door to having you guys have really good conversations and what to have a conversation about. We didn't have voice messages back then. Maybe because I'm older, I like just getting on the phone. And people my age don't mind getting on the phone. But I have noticed some of my younger coaches, they're like, oh, I don't want to get on the phone. I'd rather. So I would use the voice message as much as possible, because they can hear your voice. They can hear how excited you are, as opposed to writing it out. And now you can send video. Erin Carrasco just sent me a video about an hour ago. It was so cute. Like, she's all sweaty from her workout, and she sent me a video, and, doing something like that too, they can see your expression. So I'm a big fan of that, because remember, this is not a transaction business. This is a relationship business. And especially when it comes to health and fitness, what we do is a really big deal. We are not having people burn candles in their house or wear jewelry. Like, we truly are changing lives. And to me, it's a big deal. And if I want somebody to change their life, I want them to hear how excited I am for them, that they're going to do it. So as much as possible, having them hear how much you believe in them and how excited you are, because belief will trump any bit of knowledge you don't have. If you're excited and they feel your passion and they feel your belief, you don't have to know the answers. They'll feel it in your voice. And I think that really comes across when you do the voice messages and the phone calls. I want to stay on this one for a little bit, but I think when it comes to Shakeology, I think a lot of times we as a network can be better at differentiating it from other products, like just any protein shake, and then products that have soy, artificial flavors, and artificial sweeteners in it. And really, if you can differentiate just on those two things, then able to position Shakeology so much better. You don't have to know all those ingredients and what they do. I don't even. But knowing how it helps people and how it's going to benefit them and what they don't want in their shake sometimes is a lot easier. And I would also say the biggest thing that I still deal with is people are like, well, I was looking at this other shake my neighbor does, and it has so many carbs, and yours has this many carbs, and it's this calorie. Like, they're comparing totally. The magic happens in the ingredient section, not in the fats, carbs, protein. Like that's a moot point. The magic happens in the ingredient section, and that will make or break the quality of a shake. So what I mean by that is if the ingredients, it says Splenda. So gut health is a really big thing, right? I'll give you this tip. I read this the other day. Everybody knows gut health is a big deal right now, right? If you don't, it is. Basically, everything with health in your body starts in the gut, because that's like the soil you're fertilizing for the rest of your body. One packet of Splenda, the one little yellow packet of Splenda, kills 50% of your gut microbes. One packet. I used to drink 5 packets a day at 2:00 going through Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I had all these health issues. One packet kills 50% of your gut microbes. So, you think about how much artificial sweeteners people are putting in things, and that Splenda's in so many of these shakes, and it's killing away at their gut health. And so I don't like share like doom and gloom with people, but I educate them. And if, have you heard, make everything a question. Have you heard, or do you agree that gut health is really important? Yeah, I've heard something on it, on Dr. Oz or whatever. Well, it really is. And all you really need to know is that artificial sweeteners kill off your gut health, and Shakeology doesn't have any of them. In fact, we have digestive enzymes that help make it better. That's not scientific. It's just simple. And I think just making it simple for the person to show this is what this does, but this is what we do. Super, super simple. And then, of course, with price, I always, and I've used this since day one as well, so and I know you guys have probably heard it, but I always say, what do you spend on average for a healthy meal? Would you agree between $3 and $7? You go through Chick-fil-A and get a chicken salad. I don't ever use McDonald's, by the way, because if I'm trying to sell a healthy lifestyle, why would I promote McDonald's? Like most people, if they're trying to be healthy, they're going through Chick-fil-A, or they're going somewhere and getting a salad, Panera Bread. It's like $8 to $12 for a salad at Panera Bread. So compare it with something comparable and say, okay, so you already agree that an average healthy meal is between $3 and $7. And so with Shakeology, not only are you getting a meal, but you're replacing all the vitamins, and you're getting probiotics and digestive enzymes and all these other things that are going to help your body heal and have more energy and feel better. So that's on the low end of average. So don't you think you're kind of getting more mileage for your money that way? So those are just some of the things, like, I'd like to, I guess, say, kind of create perspective. We have to educate people and change the way they think with what they have been told by the media and what is reality. And so I think just doing like simple little comparisons are enough that people can grasp onto and that makes sense to them. And you can ask me more questions about that later. Okay, number 7. What part of my business do I spend the most time on? kind of depends on the way. I'll tell you what I'm crappy at. I'm crappy at, and I got this from Brittany Leggett, this idea, and it is a really good idea. It's just not the way my brain works. She will set a timer. Okay, so for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to work on inviting. And she sets the timer, and nothing in the world happens until that goes off other than her inviting. And then she's going to work. And I love that in concept. But here's the problem with me is I'm very creative and I deeply concentrate, and I don't want to shift gears that much. So I struggle with that. And so I may spend a full day or half a day on one or two things. I may spend a full 3 or 4 hours on inviting because then I'm in the inviting mode. Or I may read for 3 or 4 hours because that's where my brain is going. I have a very hard time shifting gears every 10 minutes or 20 minutes kind of thing. I like to deeply concentrate on something. So I don't really break my day up into small segments. I do like, okay, one day I may just work with my coaches and do coach calls because that's the direction my brain is going. I would say I spend the most amount of my time probably working on my posts or working on my conversations, finding ways to increase my cold market and find more people. And I have done more face-to-face stuff lately. Okay, so that's it for the questions. And then I can take questions if any of those have sparked any other ones. Just take yourself off mute and I will do my best.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I got notes everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay. I actually do have a question. And then if ever anybody else has a question too. But okay, what really stood out to me was when you spoke about that one-star diamond coach and how like they become from a coach to a diamond, and then they like concentrate on their customers and things like that. And then once they become a diamond star, then they do like juggle both, right? Like the team and the customers. So I've heard a lot that you do like 80% business and then 20% where you work a lot with your team. And so I've been doing a lot of like one-on-one calls with my teams and things like that, or just trying to get them all together, do like brunches and things like that. So what other tip would you have so that you can bring the team more like into like a leadership or more into teamwork or anything like that? Do you have any?
So there's 2 parts to your question I hear. The first part is how do you build like that more team culture? But then the other part I'm hearing you ask is how do you empower people to become their own leaders?
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. One of the things, so I'm a psychology major by history, by whatever. And one of the things I've learned, and this holds true when you read leadership books anyway, people know the answers. They're just looking for validation for their answer. And sometimes they need help figuring out their answer. And I actually think this is really empowering because as you guys progress in your business, you don't have to know the answers. You just have to ask good questions because they'll figure out their answers. But that takes a ton of pressure off you guys because it's not like you're the oracle that has to know all these answers. And so if someone comes to you and they're like, unless it's but even if it's a technical question, okay, I'm going to go 2-star and I'm going to open my my second business center. Shay, where should I open my business center? Well, you tell me a little bit about your business and then based on your business, where you think it should go. That's literally what I would say. I could probably look at it and figure it out, but how am I teaching them to think and then duplicate that for their future people? So I typically try and present what they're asking in an objective way and then ask them how they would do it. And it sounds super simple, but that literally, it's helping them problem solve on their own. And then you can hear where they're getting jammed up with certain problems or whatever it is, or I've got a coach on my team and she keeps posting negative stuff in the page. I don't, how should I handle it? Should I just delete it? Should I message her? Well, how do you think what she's doing is affecting other people on your team? That would be the first, like, what's the reaction? Now, based on that reaction, how do you think she would best respond? That's what I would say. I try not to ever really give the answers. I help them discover the answers. And that helps empower your coaches to become independent thinkers and independent leaders. Otherwise, they're going to come to you with every single freaking question ever wanting an answer. And I had one of my coaches years ago. She was like, can you just not ask me a question? Just tell me. And she got so annoyed. But I'm like, I'm helping you develop into a leader so that you can start thinking for yourself. So that is that. Now, as far as the team culture, I do think I probably speak to my coaches more than the 20%. I've got a really, really good rapport with my diamond coaches, and some of my lifetime just coaches that, maybe they're in and out of diamond or whatever. But how do I say this? I don't have a sorority environment. Does that make sense? For my team, it's definitely a level of respect. Part of my brand is I do attract professional type people. So I don't have a lot of the drama. I literally have had one person in 6 years I've had to kick out of my team page. And she wasn't even my coach. She was like 5 levels down. I don't have a lot of drama, but people know my personality. I won't put up with that. And I always will have a conversation with somebody before, I'd make an action. I'll get on the phone and I'll say, hey, X, Y, and Z and whatever. So because my team knows that about me, they will always know, for better or worse, where they stand with me. There is we all have a level of respect for one another. And personally, I like that team culture. I would want to be a part of that team culture because I know exactly where I stand with people, and that makes me feel safe. I don't want to be guessing, is she saying this to me here and then saying something else to someone else behind my back? I don't like that. And so I treat people that way, but then we have a really strong team culture. And I will say, all this stuff with these other MLMs going on, knock on wood, I've not had anybody leave my team. And I think, because my team definitely loves the products implicitly. They're like me with the products. And they couldn't imagine selling something other than what we have to offer people. Their missions are very similar to mine, to truly help and improve people's health. And so to go do another MLM and do leggings or lipstick or something, and that just it's laughable. But then we also have just a level of respect and true enjoyment for one another. And that's the culture I've created, only because that's what I want. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't have this sorority kind of culture. I am kick people out of the nest. You're going to go do your own thing. And I'll help you do it. But
no, that helped a lot. Thank you so much, for sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or things you guys want me to? You got me.
Kristen, do you want to open it up?
Yes. Thank you so much, Shay. We seriously appreciate you coming on here and taking the time out of your busy schedule. And this is such an honor to have you here. So I'm just going to There you go. Does anyone else have any questions for Shay?
I have one.
Awesome, Monica.
It's with regards to Shakeology. In my clean eating groups, I will promote the Shakeology and talk about the Shakeology and anything like that. But then people come up with the answer where they want to deal more with the food element and not include the powder. So how do you change that perspective?
So one of the things I hear people saying sometimes is they're thinking because it's a powder, it's not a food. And 99% of the time, that's right with most other products. It is soy filler and protein, and that's it. And synthetic vitamins. The thing with Shakeology, and I always say, it's a whole food. It's literally like, all right, I'm going to take a step back and share with you guys like how they make it, and then you can kind of word it in your own words. But sometimes I do share this perspective with people because I'll say there's 70 superfood ingredients. The way they first of all, they import them, but they have to dry them. And we all know if you cook something too much, anything, it loses its enzymes that make it healthy. You kind of cook off all the nutrients. I mean, if stir fry anything, you cook off the nutrients. So you can't really cook it too much. But if they don't cook it enough, it's going to rot. So with these ingredients in Shakeology, it's literally a 5-degree variance between cooking it too much and it makes basically dead food in a bag, which is what most people are used to, Monica, or not doing it enough and it goes rancid. And they actually had to postpone the tropical Shakeology launch 6 months because they could not get the goji berries to dry properly. They kept rotting in the bag. And so sometimes I think when you actually share how all that comes about, they realize it's literally dried whole foods in a bag. It's not just processed powder. And so then some of them actually have to be turned in the sun. Some of them can be put in a dehydrator. Some of them, they all have their own different unique ways based on the compound of the superfood. But to me, it's fascinating the extent they go through. And so when they say it's like 5 plates of salad, it's like literally 5 concentrated plates of salad in a scoop. And, when someone says that originally, I'll say, you know what, I can understand why you think that way, because pretty much every product I have found on the market is just like you're describing. It's just a lump of whey protein or soy protein. But where Shakeology is different is, and then sometimes just explaining the process we go through to get that in a bag.
Okay.
And it's like lots of food.
Okay. So second question.
Mm-hmm.
The whey protein that is in the regular Shakeology, how does that differ from the others? I've been trying to find information on that, and I'm like, what's the difference?
To be honest, that's a good question. I don't know exactly. I really only promote the vegan.
Me too.
I find this. So if someone's paying what they're paying for Shakeology, to me, I want them to get the purest formula, which is the white bag, the ultimate formula. There's no synthetic vitamins in that. There's no dairy. I mean, everything that has the benefits with the vegan. My clientele typically wants the white bag. If someone is like, I just want it to taste good, I don't really care. If they are more concerned with the taste, then they're really not going to be as concerned that it has some of the synthetic vitamins and that it has whatever whey protein. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the people that don't care as much take that bag. But the majority of people, I want them to have the white bag. So I want them to have like the best of the best.
Okay.
So I don't really get that question that often because I'm talking about the purest white bag. Okay.
And the vegan, it's the pea protein. Does it have anything else mixed in as a type of a protein?
Yeah. If you look at the back, I'm trying to.
I know, but it's the pea protein. And but quinoa. Is there any quinoa protein? Okay.
Yeah, it says on the back the protein blend, and it's also in the little book that comes with it, and it'll have the protein blend and all the different proteins that are in it.
Okay.
Plant-based proteins. Yeah. Good question.
That's it for me.
Anything else?
So Shay, I actually get a lot of people saying that Shakeology gives them headaches. Would you basically just say that is just your body detoxing? Because I know detoxing your body comes a lot with, headaches and kind of feeling more crappy than you did before.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. And I have a blog post on my website. Let me sidebar for a second. If there are any questions you guys have that come up, whether it's with migraines or cholesterol or anything like that, I have on my website pretty much every question I've gotten, I've made a blog post about. And if you go to my website, which is shaystanford.com, there's a search tool and you can type in, you may have to try a couple different search tools to get what you're looking for, but I do have really good answers for things that you can just send people. But to answer your question, I do have a really good blog article on there about how Shakeology relieves migraines. And some of the reason, I know you're asking the opposite of this, but a lot of times migraines come from poor gut health. And as you slowly heal the gut, the migraines will go away. But if someone's having headaches, I actually will share that. Say, actually, what has been shown is that headaches and migraines are caused by poor gut health. And if you're having more right now, it's because you're detoxing. Let the body normalize, let your gut health heal, and then you'll see that they resolve.
Perfect. Thank you.
Same thing with, either they go to the bathroom a lot or they hardly go at all. It's a lot of it, for that first week's just the body trying to adjust itself and use a lot of those superfoods to heal and regulate itself. And then it all tends to work itself out.
I've had a lot of people say that the first week after trying Shakeology, they're like on the toilet basically all week. And
here's another thing too. A lot of people don't typically drink that much milk.
Yeah.
On average, their kids may, but they don't. And then they go and get Shakeology and they just take their kids, take the milk out of the fridge because their kids drink it with their cereal. And they don't realize they are mildly lactose intolerant. And now they're drinking all this milk and that is causing the stomach issues. It's not actually the Shakeology, it's the lactose in the milk.
Yeah, I always ask them what they're mixing it with.
Perfect. Yeah.
I only do water.
And then, it's tough because, as newer coaches, you're like getting these objections and you're like, I don't know. So it's experience, but I'm sure you've got a team page. You guys can ask each other questions and that kind of helps you guys through the process.
Shay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Sometimes, this happened to me last month. I have the stock between my partner's Shakeology and mine, right? The expired Shakeology, will it give you any type of sickness? Will it give you anything of that if you still have it the month after it's expired?
This is my personal opinion. I actually don't know the technical answer. I'll say that first. I would personally, and actually have, because I found some greenberry a few weeks ago that expired 2016, the beginning. Anyway, I would drink it. If it's not opened, I would drink it a year after it expires.
Okay.
I just know from the pharmaceutical industry, they have to put a date on it.
Yeah.
By law. And they usually are very conservative with that date. So it's good for a good while. So I say a year after if it's not open. Once it's open, it's a little different because now it's exposed to
air.
Different,
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I personally would drink it a year after.
I did drink it, but I just wasn't sure if you had gotten any type of questions like that as to how people have reacted.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To answer Monica, I think I read on the Team Beachbody page, like Shay said, that it's just to guarantee the potency of the ingredients, that it won't actually harm you if you consume it after the expiry date.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
All right. Do you have any other questions? Or anything you wanted me to share or talk about?
What is one tip or one big thing that advice, I guess, you would give just any coach?
One?
I know, it's hard.
Trust the process.
I love that.
And I say trust the process, and I mean that with the products, I mean that with the company, I mean that with network marketing, I mean with yourself, with the vital behaviors. Trust the process, because sometimes it gets harder before it gets easier. So just working out, just trust the process.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Any last questions, you guys? All right, Natasha, you want to close out?
Sure. Thank you so much again, Shay.
You're
That
welcome.
was amazing. And I think everybody else is super thankful that you got on the call. We've learned a lot. We've recorded it, so we're going to watch it again, take notes. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. It was really, really much appreciated.
I was very happy to be here. And I want to tell you guys, this business truly, truly is, I've done every business. I've done corporate America. We've had our own car lot. I have waited tables, working for myself kind of thing. This business by far, if you treat it, like I said, from day one, I treated it as a business because I did not want to go back to corporate America. And I looked at it like I was just hired by Beachbody, and I took it really seriously. And this business truly can change your life and is such a gift and a blessing to other people if you allow it to be and treat it as such. And that would probably be my second piece of advice, is just you will put a lot in the beginning and hardly get anything, but trust the process because it works itself out. It is amazing business.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
All right, guys.
Thank
Have a great
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.